Okay, here we are for another episode of Hot Take Point Made. And for this episode, we are going to obviously do some takes, I imagine, that will relate to Worlds. So by the time you see this, will be like a mixture of the historical and a preview. And I can tell you already, because I've selected two of them, we have got two fan takes. And one of them, let's say, is sort of around the idea of things like Worlds and what the significance is. So if you actually want to submit a fan take, you'll find out later on in the show how we do that. So the question is, as always, who wants to sort of open the ledger? Who has an initial deposit of...
Why don't we start with a fan take to start with? We've never done that.
Yeah, I like that. I will say, sometimes I do that on the CS one, where I'll pick the one I think's like the dumbest take, so we can all like join, feel connected by wrecking them, and it's not wrecking each other. And then we do the damage. It becomes PvP later on. So this one's not as bad, but I'll ask it anyway, okay? So if you want to submit a fan take, by the way, you just subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord. There's a channel in there. It's LOL Hot Takes. You just submit it there. If you don't want us to read your name out when we roast you, say so. Otherwise, I'm going to say the name of whatever you put. So here's one for you that I think's an interesting one. So Captain Confused says G2's current roster will not have a higher placing at Worlds compared to the previous roster with Mikyx and Yike in both years, which remember, didn't make playoffs. He says, my reasoning is the strength of the solo laners compared to international counterparts. Broken Blade has certain picks that might get him through the lane, but not enough carry power. Caps is still decent, but I don't think he can reach his peak carry power in current form. Labrov has still not shown he can perform on the biggest international stage with huge pressure on him. And even with good team play and a decent bot lane, G2 won't reach a better placement. Thoughts? Where are we going on this?
Okay.
Oh.
I feel like the problem I have with all these takes on Worlds, because I was thinking about it, is do I have the right to say that I fucking hate the format? Because like the Swiss stage, it's exciting. At first I thought I would love it, but the fact that like there is no planning, like you don't know what's gonna happen.
It's like, you play the next day, the opponent, you have no idea who it is. It's crazy, isn't it?
I can't tell you like for sure that G2 is gonna play better or worse than the time they faced Energy after like choking.
Yes.
Or the next year they face BLG that ends up in finals. Yep. And it's like both are like the same level of like you end up at the same spot. Yes. Whether you face Palafox or like Ben and Knight, that makes literally no sense. So I feel like the hot takes for Worlds are extremely hard to craft. So for that reason, it's never out of the picture that G2 will not do better, but being eliminated before Swiss, like before playoff, is what G2 has already done. So I feel like the way he crafted the take is that it's the most lukewarm take of all, because if they do 0-3, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. They just didn't make it to playoffs. So yes, very high chance that through Swiss they don't make it. That said, he's wrong on the fact that Labrov he hasn't performed on international stage, but I think he has never been playing as well as he does currently.
Sure.
I think that Skumon is the best player in LEC, like at least as far as the summer split goes, even better than Kana, who was the best player of LEC the whole year. I think that Caps is doing very good. I think that BB has finally gave up on like shitty picks. He's still playing Kled, but he has mostly gave up on shitty picks. So I think that and I'm gonna double down on a hot take. I think that this G2, and I said it last time, but I think this is the highest chance G2 has to make it out of groups since the first year with Yike. I think it's a very, very good G2, and I think they have even higher chance than FlyQuest to make it out of groups. So it's just a counter hot take.
So one thing I think a lot of people aren't forgetting is what made Swiss so toxic was the high variance, because there was 4 Korean teams and 4 Chinese teams last year, but you're actually going to have 1 minus Chinese or Korea, right? So everyone needs to keep that in mind. Then NA has also got Brazil inside it, so you have to keep that in mind. And Vietnam is also 1 team inside the PCS, whatever it's called, like region. So you have a much like. Again, it all comes down to like Swiss. I understand like what he's saying. I think like, and I do agree with like the lose condition. I actually think if they had like a different version of BB and Yike, I think Skumond, Labrov, Hans could get this team to quarters against the field very, very consistently. The problem is I have watched BB lose to Brazilian top laners this year. Now, his form is better, but I did watch him get smashed.
True, there was that Fury series, yeah.
Like, he literally was getting banged by a guy. I don't think anyone here could tell me the name of who he was. Like, and I'm pretty sure the guy was like literally one of those memes where when I asked somebody, is he good? He went, he's an all-in specialist. I was like, oh, so he's brainless. Perfect. So there we go. That's all we need to know. I think it's a real shame because I really do think like that if you a different time period, the Skumond, Labrov, Hans package gets them into quarters, and I think they could have a really interesting quarterfinals against a lot of teams. I just think the solo lane gap's so fucking grim this tournament. Like the solo lanes getting sent from basically like everyone, even some of the teams with like really dodgy like solo lanes. Like I'm just like having a little look like FlyQuest. Like there's a world where like, you know what I mean? Like the Blippo versus Broken Blade will be like so toxic. There's like a world in which like that's not even like that like positive for you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going out here saying like Blippo's like going to like dog all over them, but I don't see that being anything more than a 55-45 either way. You know what I mean? Like it's not something you'd want to go home about. So you're basically just looking at how many of the lower ones. I kind of agree with the take. The problem is it just with, and one more point, quick one, is I don't know how much the segregated scrim environments are going to change the teams, because teams are going to have to choose whether or not they go straight to China to scrim or they scrim consistently in Korea. Because who was it that done it one year? Was it Vitality? They chose to scrim just the Chinese teams one year.
They went
and
to
actually
with RNG, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually worked out really well for them because basically everyone in their fucking group didn't basically know what they were playing.
So season
nobody knew. Yeah, nobody knew who Jizuki was. Jizuki literally, Jizuki got every single banger pick that he wanted. Like nobody, they're like, oh, he gets Echo every game. It's like, and so it does depend on a lot of factors we still don't know. We don't know the initial Swiss draw, but yeah, I can kind of see it. Like it's not like the hottest take, but there is a rhyme or a reason to it.
Here's the thing, as usual with any reasonable take, I agree and I disagree for different reasons. First of all, I actually agree with Zabatine. Bro, it's hot take, point made, not like mild take, well stated. That would be a shit show, wouldn't it? The joke is that's just every other fucking talk show in League of Legends, isn't it? The whole point is to craft. So here's where you failed. You should have said the same take, but then said, and they could make the semis or something. Now you got a hot take, bruh. I mean, by the way, even then I could craft like a devil's advocate. You say something like, first of all, you make the same point yourself that's been made here. It's actually easier to make playoffs this time. There's one less team. As long as you get a nice bracket draw, it's possible. Essentially, you might be competing for that spot with FlyQuest and CF4. It's not even like it's that crazy like a sample size. Nobody thinks Fnatic's going there. Maybe MCOY as well, I guess, throw in the mix. So you've only really got 3 other teams that are probably going to make it there. Then also add in that you could even go with this angle. When you make it to those quarters, bro, since you can get high variance even for top teams, it means you could have a world, it just hasn't happened very often, where actually one of the not very good Korean seeds, KT Rolster is the obvious one, what if they 3-0? What if they just get crazy good draws and then they get one game? By the way, I've seen them beat GenG in a BO5. What if they then get a game against T1 or something and win that series? And they go through the BO3 and they're in 3-0 team. Then someone like G2 gets out. Bro, G2 against KT in a best of 5. I'd like to see that. You know what? I've seen KT miracle beat GenG. I've also seen them 0-6 their way out of the rest of the playoffs and look like they thought they were already at Worlds. Like I've seen a world. Listen, boys. You know what? I'm not the biggest Hans Sammer fan of all time, but Hans Sammer and Labrov, they might be able to get that fucking bot lane. You know what I mean? Like that bot lane's doable, mate. Go on, Zabatine.
I was. You're about to steal my hot take because I was about to make.
I won't go there.
A hot take that KT Rolster this year is the single worst Korean team that went to Worlds.
Let's come back to that then. I'll put a pin in that. Right. We'll go straight after that.
Okay.
The other points I would make is this, which is, here's where I think he's been too cynical. Right, I agree, Labrov has yet to perform internationally. Spoiler, he's had like fuck all chances. Remember, BDS didn't make it. Like he just got the end Worlds and they got this MSI and he used to be, that's it. He's actually had very limited chances. And by the way, loads of Westerners have failed in their first few chances. Like, it's actually only, unfortunately, the LPL and the LCK that have the people that just go straight out the gate and dominate the tournament. tournament. And what you're missing is, I agree overall, but I think you've been too reductive for two positions. One, Broken Blade, who I've never even been that much of a fan of, is playing maybe his best split ever. And he has actually been more, he used to be really bad internationally, then he's been like up and down. If anything, he's due for his best ever fucking run mate as a top laner. So that's a positive. I agree Caps isn't as good. And then the other guy, obviously, is Skumond. Like, bro, I noticed in his comment there was nothing about Skumond. Mate, I have said this before. It's no surprise to me, Inspired himself is a fan of this guy. This is the next Inspired. If you want to have a player like that, who people say, remember, LS has the take, it's like the third best jungler in the world or something, Inspired. But it's not even that crazy a take anymore. As usual, that is a hot take. But put it this way, in the past, if you put any Western player in that top 10 position, you were just doing an LOL Esports fucking clickbait article. If you did a top 10 junglers and you go like in this order, so maybe we'll go like Tarzan, Ona, keep going down. Bro, you're only going to get 3 or 4 before I go, whoa, what about Inspired? Like that's plausible. That's a doable one. So if Skumon, I think he has that potential, bro. I know he's a rookie, but I've already seen split on split, he's gotten better. He looked dope in this last finals, mate. It was only the finals he was failing. Like he's already been blooded twice. He was at MSI and he was at EWC. He might be due himself for a fucking pop-off tournament. And he's not the sort of jungler that just ganks, bro. Like, if he plays his game, he can shut people down. Like, that's actually a way to win, mate, without pure lane strength. So, no, I think it's a plausible take, like, that they can. It's just not a hot take, is it? It's not that hot, is it? And he wasn't. He was comparing apples and oranges because the last 2 years there was 4 teams from each. The joke is, NA got those spots. There should have been nobody getting out of there. Like famously, there was some teams who got ridiculous runs, didn't they? Okay, tell me then. Give me the full one. What was the rest of the take though? It's like KT Rolster will be the worst Korean team, and what?
I think since like the latest time I can see a Korean team that's as bad is probably like 2018. It's like Africa Freaks 2018. So there is a discussion because there was like there was Kin. I think Spirit, Mugli, Kuro, Kramer was like okay. They were playing pretty good, but I think there is a discussion to be. And I'm gonna phrase the hot take. I think it's the single worst Korean team to ever be qualified to Worlds, because I think even HLE had Chovy, which is like just better than BDD. So if you have 4 cheaters. And your mid laner is like the star player, you rather have Chovy than BDD. So I've checked all of the other rosters. I can't find a single Korean team in history that has such a terrible spread of talent. Nobody, because even you look at DRX, I think that having Zeka and Deft is way better than having the current roster of KT. So aside from BDD, who's the star player, I do believe that like they had like this, like once in 100 time chance. Like if you replay the series against GenG, they never win ever again, and because it's bloody KT. But I do believe that it's probably on the paper the worst Korean team to ever qualify to main stage.
See, you got me with the framing, and then you've kind of lured me in here, Sabatine, because the only team that I think in the context is White Shield, right? And that's only from when they went, as in like from like the players at like the time, because they had like good players and like they had Gorilla, who then go on to be great the next second season. But White Shield actually at Worlds fucking stunk, mate. They're the one. I think they're the only team, one of the only teams to be perfect on stage. They were like one of the first like teams.
To be fair, they were playing against FORG1VEN, but I get it. It's all good.
No, mate. They got Thorin. Thorin, I keep that one in my back pocket as well.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what I mean? Perfect in Koreans isn't for everyone, but I really am struggling because I'm going back because like 2015 they sent all bangers because that was like KT, Rocks, T1, it was all bangers. 2017 where like Crown was handless, they ended up winning the tournament. T1 was there, and then Longzhu everyone thought was like the best team of all time.
Supposed to win.
LS. Yeah, they're supposed to just LS literally declared them like the most they're going to be the next Bonjour like team of like League of Legends. They really. It is actually so crazy how good the depth has been for Korea at Worlds, and then you see this team, and fucking Peter is at Worlds. Like, it's so mind-boggling that a bot lane of Deokdam and Peter is the fucking third seed in Korea. I actually can't believe it. They might actually just be it might be the worst 4 players to have ever been sent, plus BDD. That's actually what the fucking fact is. It's so crazy.
And Perkz has like this, once every 7 series, he plays like amazing. He's like top 3 in the world. And you're like, oh, Perkz is back. And then you look at like the 5 next series, and he's like worse than Elyoya. Like Elyoya is just 10 times better than him on average. But he has his like very single peak that everybody remembers, and they use that to defend that Perkz is a top tier jungle, which he definitely isn't. I think it proves the point of Inspired, actually. But I do believe, like, if I tell you a perfect Perkz, Peter Deudam, I maybe you have to go back to season 2. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't checked season 2 and season 1. But season 2 they weren't even here, right? So it's like has to go season 2, because season 3 for sure they were better than anyone else. So probably the worst of all time. What do you think?
Because I actually think it's a plausible take, because I actually do think people will forget, I think it's the worst of all time, because what people forget about Freaks is that team was really good in the Korean scene, though. Like, they were like a fucking top 2 team at one point in time. At Guess KT had to make the run back, just like they did at Worlds. They had to run through that whole gauntlet to get to play in the final. No, I agree. And then also, people love to bring up that Animal Life one. That had Chovy and Deft, bro. Like, the other players were a joke. That's why Chovy and Deft are godlike, in my opinion. Like, they could even fucking carry those guys. DRX, the joke is, on paper, that's not a good team, but they fucking won Worlds, so we can't really say they're the worst, because we know what they did. They actually were fucking pretty good at the tournament. And then also, I know what you mean. First of all, it's the fact also that they're the 3rd seed, bro. If they were the 4th seed in that playoff, fine, that's okay. T1's below them. And that's ridiculous. The only reason why is because of this crazy win over GenG. That's also the other historical period. When they get banged out, which they could easily do at this tournament, the real historical detail won't be KT Rolster. It'll just be, how did they beat GenG? The fuck? They're like unbeatable GenG too. So, and then even then, by the way, it was 3-2, and it was really close. They didn't 3-zip them. And then just think about this. If you saw that series, I'll tell you one reason they did it. Dam had, he traded his soul and his firstborn child for that series. Like, he's never played that well in his whole fucking life. He was on the FPX with Milky Way when we all said Milky Way 1v9 the game. And in fact, he was in a lane with that fucking guy. What was his name? Kale. It was Kale, actually, wasn't it? Wasn't that his support player?
No, I thought it was Life. I thought Life.
Life, there you go. Oh, no, it was a Korean one I was remembering, though. The joke is, people used to say Life was the good one, and Dam held Life back, and Life had to play fucking Rumble every game.
Rumble,
so people and remember, when Dam was on down 1, everyone hated this motherfucker. Before that, they were like, get Ghost off. And then they were like, please, Ghost, come back. Can he play the game? Because he realised he could weak side. This Dam guy was a bomb. He just was, bro. So I think if you look at that team, take those 3 players you mentioned there. Perfect, who has shown some talent, but he's still, for me, like, spiritually a rookie. Because I agree, he's always had like hands, but he's super inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get. And he just does the pure shit where he randomly just has a good series. And then lastly, Dam, right? Not only can G2 match up against them, FlyQuest at those 3 positions can match up immediately. Inspired fucking, Maso and Whipple, they might even be better, bro. I'd love to see that series again. Yeah, so 4's also at those positions really strong. That's another reason why they do it. And put it this way, I think history will also remember one other thing about KT, which is you'll look back on the Leaguepedia in 3 years when the rest of those players do nothing and go nowhere, and they're all on fucking Freaks and fucking DRX, and you'll go, holy fuck, how hard was BDD carrying? Well, the point is, not enough to carry enough fucking games at Worlds to make this work. So I actually think the real madness is, it is just that fucking semi-bullshit GenG series that got them here. It's why I don't like that change that we've had in all the regions. We had the same thing in Europe. Fnatic just had to beat MCOY in that one best of 5 and they'd been there in the upper bracket. That's a stupid format. I want the format where you have to win like 3 BO5s to get to Worlds or something. Because I do think if you'd have had to actually play as KT, 2 out of the 3 and win to get there. You don't have to beat T1, Animal Life, or GenG. You have to win 2 out of the 3 to get. You wouldn't be here, mate. Or they'd be the 4th seed playing IG right now. And by the way, they'd lose to IG and then they wouldn't be in Worlds. So I actually think, yeah, I agree. It's a good take. Even though it sounds fucked up to begin with, but also, as you say, there've been very few years LCK sent bad teams. In fact, famously, LCK never had the teams fail to get out of the groups. If anything, they were always slightly better at Worlds than we realised. By the way, obvious reason why, as I'm finding out now in this Asia Invitational, it's like, I thought D+ sucked. Oh shit, wait, they were playing against T1, GenG, and well, JDG wasn't playing against them. It turns out, actually, that makes you look shit when you play the best macro teams in the world, and then they all clap you. Yeah, I'm with you. I think KT fucking sucks. That's why I just put it all on BDD. Like, you're the man, bro. You are the man. But you can't 1v9 the game. Come on. That's too much to ask.
Not at Worlds.
It's too much. Come on, Kira, what's your take?
Right, okay, I've got one for you. I think if Chovy and Ruler, well, not Chovy and Ruler, if GenG win this Worlds, they'll win the next 3. Like,
Wait a minute. Just as a weird immediate pull-up, in your brain, is GenG just about Chovy and Ruler? Why did you do that Freudian slip there? Why didn't you just say GenG to begin with? Why did you go, I think Chovy's going to win? Shit, I should say, I think GenG will win the next few Worlds. Why did you pull it back like that?
Because I have to preface it, they're the only players signed till 2027.
Oh, so right, okay.
Yeah, so I think...
Oh, so regardless of the roster, right, so whoever they sign. Yeah. Okay.
I think you can build, it doesn't matter what, I think you can build...
The take, just to be clear, no one's ever won 3 Worlds in a row. The take is that even, no matter who they sign, they're winning 3 Worlds. They haven't won 1 yet, but they're winning 3 Worlds in a row. Okay.
If they win this one coming up, they have to win this one, right? And I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, first of all, right, Chovy and Ruler have a little bit of a mental block. Not that they tilt, but Chovy descends from the heaven and he becomes mortal at Worlds, right? Okay. And particularly the two of them together, they had the absolute mare that caused Zika to be an early world champion. And it was the two of them together combining forces like the fucking earrings in Dragon Ball Z. They're like, we're going to be really shit together, and it was like a combined forces. What fucking ruined the entire thing, storylines. Death gets his world. That was sick, right? But here, let me give you some context. I think when winning, when you win and how you win, really does affect players like Chovy, players that are particularly chasing greatness. I actually think it's one of the things that makes Faker so OP, because you can't make him uncomfortable, because he's been under pressure since he was 16 performing on the best stage. That's why he's got this somewhat immunity to tilt and stuff. But there are different types of pressure. Chovy in MSI finals, LCK finals, can easily be the best player in the world. But there's something specifically about Worlds that causes him to just be less than himself. And I think if he wins one, he'll go on he'll transcend to a new plane or existence, and he'll be truly unstoppable no matter what the game situation looks like. And the ultimate player that I can ever pinpoint this for is Uzi. Uzi, internationally, because his first international experiences were quite positive, right? When he played international tournaments, he was always money. And he would always continue to be pretty much money. He had one mare that sticks out like a sore thumb, but he was fucking unbelievable. Even when his team lost, Uzi was usually really, really good. How was Uzi in LPL finals? Oh, worst teams, worst opponents, the favourite every single time, and you could bet money that this guy would fuck it up. Because you know what? Pressure, there's different forms of pressure, there's different forms of tilt. There's the tilt are when you know you should be beating someone or you're the favourites, and that type of pressure can break down someone ever. So I think if Chovy and Ruler get beyond, get away from this and they win this one, I think it's going to break down mental barriers. I think they'll three-peat. Because look, they put Duro in this fucking team and they've taught... People are literally calling Duro the best support player in the world. By the way, there are actual analysts on planet Earth calling Duro the best support player in the world. He plays under the grace of fucking light that is Chovy and Ruler, by the way. And bro, if they could do that with Duro, they could do that with anyone, mate. Looked at Duro last year and went, oh yeah, he should be on GenG, and if he was on GenG, he'd be on the best players in the world. They could do this with, not anyone, but they could do this with players that aren't as good. They have got Kane, they've got Canyon, they've got Duro, but they don't have to have those players to be this great.
Okay.
I call it the Djokovic effect. You remember Djokovic at the beginning of his career? He couldn't win finals, and then he won with Serbia, he won the Davis Cup. And then it was just a mental change. After that, he started striking after strikes. It was crazy how dominant because he was so scared of never being able to beat that his demon of his. So I firmly believe that. I mean, I think it's inevitable that we're gonna end up in a Chovy era at some point in the game. I don't believe that you can have this level and never reach a domination era. So I would say, it is too far-fetched to say the next 3, right? But I would say that, if you think about it, right? This year, GenG is literally a game off to make the Golden Road, to be in position for Golden Road in a 3-split format. Because if they win against HLE, nobody doubt that they're going to win first 10, right? There's 0% chance, and they've won everything else. So I do believe that if Chovy... beats his demon of underperforming at Worlds, and I think Ruler is the best sidekick to do so. I think that coming in next year is gonna be extremely dominating. I would say there is enough Korean players to make a team that beats GenG. I think they're scattered around HLE and T1, which makes like GenG like here they kind of have a highway through transfer. The transfer period kind of like benefits GenG. So I don't think it's guaranteed, but I would say that if they win Worlds this year, we're starting the Chovy era, and in the next 10 years, he's gonna like catch up on Faker. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Well,
I'm on your side, Kira, for that. But the next three, I'm doubting. But it's gonna be a Chovy era.
Right. By the way, as a general rule, you could just say it's no one ever did it. They're not going to win 3 in a row. And obviously, that he's made it he's cooked the hot take at maximum temperature, hasn't he? But the rest of the take, I agree, because I'll tell you one part that you were just touching on there, Zabatine, which people always miss, which is at the moment, haven't you noticed how the arguments have changed? It used to be when Chovy was on Griffin or Hanwha Life, or when he was on DRX, like, yeah, he's really good, but why doesn't he win against Faker in the LCK finals then? He does that for fun now. In fact, Faker no longer meets him there. He just picks up the trophy from fucking Peanut every year. So already he's done LCK. Then how about that MSI? Well, I'll tell you what, the second they made it double a limb, he's just torn off 2 of these motherfuckers. So you know what? He's now got as many MSIs as Faker. So all that is left is Worlds. Now, admittedly, there's 5 of them. 5 is a lot. But I'll tell you what, you add in like recency bias, people do care more about what you do now than what happened years ago. So I don't think you even need 5. I do think 2 or 3 is enough, because that's all that is missing in his career. And by the way, I'm sure that is his main focus. So what people are missing is, as soon as he gets 1 or 2, suddenly that conversation becomes a really big conversation. Because now it's even a conversation about shit like, you're really talking about Chovy now versus Faker like 8 years ago. You're not even doing Faker today, because surely the T1 fan, if they've got half a brain, goes, I'm not comparing this Faker. You retreat to my position of the great Faker when he was the best. So, and also, I always say this because I saw it with Astralis in Counter-Strike. Did you know Astralis, before they got the player Glaive, were the most famous team for choking? In fact, they didn't even make the finals of a major. They used to lose in the semis no matter who they faced. Didn't matter who they faced. And one of the reasons was they had this crazy choke factor where they'd never won. But once they won, at the end of CS, they had won the most majors, and they were the most dominant team ever. And the joke is, there was a team a bit like the Faker there. It was Fnatic before that. People forget Fnatic was even the GOAT team. Now only Astralis exists. And one of the reasons why is because winning is by definition binary. You either win and you're the champion, or even BLG. No one, I count that as like 90% of a championship, how awesome they played last year. I'm sorry, to a fan, that counts as 0. You lost. But as soon as you win, not only do you add to your count, someone else can't win that tournament. Every time you win the World Championship, Faker can't win another one. Showmaker can't win another one. Yahoo can't win one. Like, you just add to your tip. You catch up, because they can't go ahead. It's not a race where I come first, but you come second and you get points too. First is all that counts if they were doing these resume conversations of how many titles you have. And crucially, I agree on the point about psychology that you both made. There are almost no examples I'm aware of someone who wins once or twice early in their career and then bombs every final as a choker. It's always the other way around. It's always like some Andy Murray, like you say, the Djokovic early on. You can go back in the day, Ivan Lendl. They're always early, fucking Andre Agassi. They always early choke, then they break through. And if they're really good, by the way, when they break through, then they just tear off like 3 or 4 of those motherfuckers. Then it's done. And by the way, I agree. That's what every idiot T1 fan is holding on to. You need it to be that Chovy never wins Worlds. Because I tell you what, if you let him get 1 of those motherfuckers, you better nail every single next one down. Because at that point, he's going to have 0 for you. He's already a world champion. He's already matched everyone, basically, except Faker in terms of world title. He's matched Rookie, Scout. You go down that show, everyone except, not even Showmaker, because Showmaker didn't win the EDG one. He's got the same as everyone else. Now he's only chasing Faker, and he's the best player in his era. And also, to tie in Akira's point, the reason you sort of can say that they will have like a chance to win the next 3, if not they will win them, is it doesn't really matter if Canyon goes elsewhere for a big money check. It doesn't matter if Keen signs in the fucking LPL or whatever. If you have Chovy and you have Ruler, who, by the way, are arguably playing better than they ever have together in 2022, people will join that team for less money, bro.
Yes.
People will, like, motherfuckers will try. Like, again, I'll take some names that people don't even think of, because we'll always forget the LPL ones. What if Kale from Anyone's Legend gets sick of being on Anyone's Legend and goes, I want to be in Korea? Oh, what's that? The Duro guy didn't sign again. Okay, I'm coming over. By the way, Tarzan's an obvious one. I'd do that tomorrow. Or here's another one. Who knows how long T1? They've only got these players for a couple of years. In 2 years, maybe Owner's playing with Chovy. And by the way, I've seen how Owner plays with Faker. I'd like to see him play with fucking Chovy in a game 5. These guys are tearing up. Same with the top laners. You think his stud top laner wouldn't come and play there? Of course they would. So, I'm with you. I think look, you have overcooked with the not only 3, but 3 in a row. Like, that is, but I'll tell you what. If you're going to have Chovy and KT Ruler, you've got a chance at it at least. That would be a great formula to do that. And I'll even add in, I don't know about you guys, but I do think eye test-wise, I have never seen Chovy be as clutch as this year. Bro, he has missed a game 5. He's now the guy in Game 5 who does everything he didn't used to do. The joke is, I often say this on my show, I actually think the sleeper player that got improved the most by Fearless is Chovy. Because he used to be the guy who always defaulted to the comfort champion and just did the basic filler comp out. He picks like fucking Aurora in Game 5 now. This guy is just activated. The fact he has to play 5 champions in a 5-game series means now you see like the full repertoire of what he was working with. The joke is, me and Kira used to always say that Knight used to just play none of the champions. Well, he has to now. That's the joke is for certain players, we're just making these motherfuckers come outside the comfort zone. But it turns out they're so good they can do it. So, no, I like the take. I think it's a banger. Right, I've got a take now, gentlemen.
Oh.
So, wait there a second. I need to remember what it was, though. Fuck, what was it? Wait there. So the problem is I got so into that take, didn't I? Let me think, what was my take? Oh, there you go. Are you ready? This is a take that is madness, because I will phrase it this way. You know how he just said the team, but then he accidentally said the players? I'll do it in reverse. Instead of saying the team, I'll say a player to make the take sound more mental. I think Poby, by virtue, he's on Fnatic. Poby will be playing in the last match of the Swiss stage. He'll be on the 2-2 game. So I think Fnatic will win 2 games at this Worlds, at least, and they'll have a crack at the top 8. And here's why. Because 2 of those can be BO1s. And if they play BO1s, you know what? I don't believe in this team in a BO5. In a BO3, they'll still struggle, but they've got, the right opponent. They can maybe beat a FlyQuest if they get the right game. But if you look at some of these players, right, Upset, people don't get it. He's never been to Worlds. He went to that one that he had to immediately go home from. And the story was, before he went home, he was torching all the legend go, he was torching all the fucking scrims, and they were actually super confident about how that was going to be. That was when it was like the Lucian Nami bot lane or whatever. I can tell you, this guy lives for this moment. Like, he's been waiting 10 years for this fucking shit on, well, not quite that, like 8 or 9 or whatever. And he's been through all those hard, 10th place, lol, haha, look at all the other players. And Chalmers at Worlds, what about you? Where's all the, and every other player's been praised over him. So I can tell you, he's mega motivated. And by the way, I think he was the player with the lowest drop in Fnatic this year. He actually had an excellent year. He was let down by a lot of other people. And then these are the 2 players that I think makes this possible. It's the support in the jungle. If I have to win a BO1, even potentially against a Korean team and anyone's edge, if I have Razork and Mikyx, I've got a chance in a BO1, mate. I don't know about the series once we get into the picks. But I tell you what, in a BO1, you can have a game where Razork pops off and carries the game. You can have a game where Mikyx does some sick lane gank and fucking goes, or by the way, even throwing this weird top lane fucking lane swap shit. So now Mikyx can do some weird gank through the lane or whatever, like he already did at LEC. I think if you want to get the 2 BO1s and maybe you need lucky, they can be in that 5th game, so they can at least do what a Fnatic team should do, which is only let the fans down at the very end in the last possible game when you're giving people belief that it's actually possible to do it. That is at least your birthright as a Fnatic player. See how I was going there, boys?
Phenomenal.
There we go. We got there in the end. Okay. I was looking for the challenge. I was looking for the challenge in the they were all at the bottom.
And I did make it hotter by just saying it was Poby, because you're all still thinking of Poby in fucking LCK, right? So Poby's going to almost be in playoffs.
No,
I'm on your end, because if you look at like I think it is the most spread out skill level Worlds we've had in a long time.
Yeah,
because I feel like the better teams are like insanely better than the worst team.
Yes.
Because I have no faith for 100 Thieves at all. I think it's a TSM 06 thing. You know, it's like they just pop off for like 3 weeks on a patch once in a year, and then it's just back to the mean, and they're not gonna do a lot. I think PSG, Kalsa is probably my all-time favorite jungle with Honor, but I don't believe in them that much. As we said, KT Rolster is probably the single worst LCK team of all time.
We're collecting the points here.
Top Esports is obviously
they're their own worst enemy. Yeah, I know.
huge contender for failure. You can always count on Top Esports to disappoint everyone, including themselves.
Yep.
So then you have, so the top teams are really, really great. I do believe that Koi still has a chance to fail. And then you have Vivo Kate Stars. Yeah. And then you have Team Secret Whales. It's like Fnatic definitely can beat any of these teams.
Yeah.
In BO1, I 100% agree that, like, you just forget that Razork is a Poppy player, or you give upset Kai'Sa because you disrespect them. Boom, they win. So 100% they will go. I would say there is a above 80%. So I'm gonna double down in a hot take. I'm gonna say it's 100% chance.
I tell you what, I'll add
go to the 2-2.
I'll add in a little ghost pepper, right? I'll make it I'll turn up the spice, right? I also think that if they do in the BO1 play against T1, bro, I just saw T1 play against D+ and look like fucking hot trash. I saw T1 get 3-zipped by Henry Life and look very uninspired. And those were important matches. Those were qualified to get yourself to Worlds. So all I'm going to say is this. If Poby gets a BO1 against Faker, that is Poby's Worlds Finals. You have to understand that, boys. Like, that's a chance to reclaim all the fucking negative shit from 2023. If you want to turn that whole narrative around, and by the way, if you ever want to play in the LCK Faker, Poby, you have to win that game. And if all you need is in that game, T1 does one of those weird drafts where they just end up with Faker or not Orianna, Azir, Victor. As long as they end up on something else, bro, it's not impossible. That one, admittedly, that is pretty spicy. That was dropping. The T1 one's a bit spicy. I'll give you that one.
I want to see the world in which Oscarinen wins against Doran. I want to see the face.
Oh, mate. Doran will retire after that, I know.
Losing to Oscarinen.
Sure.
Like,
mate, Daventine, I once done, there was a while ago, me and Rich and stuff, we were talking, because everyone used to always bring up this narrative to me about, like, yeah, Fnatic, they've done things against, like, Eastern teams, and they would always say it, and then I actually went back and counted the games.
No, they haven't.
And there was there was something like 3-28 and, like, versus Eastern teams or something. Like, I was absolutely, like, fried. Here's the thing, right, okay?
He's figuring it out.
I just want them to have the most tortured existence ever at Worlds, because I used to be, as you know, Thorn, a bit of a Fnatic believer, and I used to buy so much Fnatic stock every year, and this year I've just been selling it off. Not out of like any particular hatred, but for my own mental well-being, because I couldn't do I was a Fnatic fan for like, let's call it 2 years, or like a year and a half, like split-wise, okay? I couldn't handle it. I had to sell all my stock, so I want these guys to have the most cruel fucking... I want their last game, their 2-2 game, to be against Vivo Keedstar and like Trimby, like Favela Trimby, to come out onto the stage and be like, Brazil sends its regards, you should never have kicked me, and send them home in the BO3.
By the way, also, imagine the memes if Humanoid gets removed and then Poby and Razork just get to the top 8 of Worlds. What the fuck would that even be? By the way, Humanoid will never live that down either.
Here's the thing.
I think it was the swan song of my cam, so we're gonna finish the episode with just a fixed.
All right. Sorry. It's okay. It's all good.
Here's the thing, Thorn. It's the whole idea of it being Poby is just such a mental take, but like, it's one of those hot takes. I want it to be reality, because the entertainment value is it's one of the things you no matter what time it is, you're gonna key into that game live to watch it in real time.
Also, you know what? People are still just thinking of 2023, bro. Where, by the way, he came into all the crazy. That's essentially like if Messi got injured in his prime in Barcelona, and the fucking academy player just had to play like attacking midfielder and run the whole fucking team. Like, that pressure would kill anyone. So people are forgetting, bro. The way Poby played in the playoffs, he just did exactly what I hoped he would. He wasn't a superstar. He wasn't bad. He just held his line, played a boring-ass mid lane, just did all the most obvious shit. If he does that at Worlds, they have a chance. That actually gives the other players a chance to carry the game. Right, by the way, should we do another fan take? I've got one more fan take for you. Are you still there, Zabatine?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Just checking. Right, this fan take is by someone... This is fucking... Listen, he tried to cook on this one, so just listen to the levels. Sex Peke says, Perkz should be the European bot lane GOAT but his reign was cut short. If he had stayed on the role, he would have surpassed the likes of Rekkles and FORG1VEN in legacy and achievements. He was the most talented and dynamic AD carry the West has ever seen, and the G2 dynasty would have continued to dominate with him on bot lane for years to come. Here's why. Perkz achieved world-class performance in a new role within a single year. In 2019, he quickly mastered top-tier AD carries like Xayah and Kai'Sa, while also pioneering the use of mages in the bot lane, making him one of, if not the best bot lane player in the world that year. This adaptability and champion pool versatility were crucial to G2's success and are still relevant today, as seen with the recent use of non-traditional picks like Ziggs. In 2020, he proved he can play any traditional ADC that was meta and would surely become even better on them if he was given more than a single split to learn them. He would stay on G2 because he's imagining he doesn't swap to mid here, and even if they wouldn't reach their previous peaks, they would surely clap Europe for years to come. Just imagine the possible future rosters with him on bot lane and Caps in mid. So it's pretty spicy there.
This is fucking mental. This is absolutely mental.
I fucking hate when people rewrite history by omitting like crucial points.
Okay.
Like it was a weekly talking point on the broadcast that like G2 weakness was actually Perkz not being able to play anything besides Xayah and Kai'Sa because like they play as mages, and there was like a huge problem on teams, especially against Fnatic, because they could just ban these two champions, and then they had to go in these wild drafts because he couldn't match all the ADCs on like pure marksman. So to me, it's very weird. Like you take the single criteria on like the single thing on which Perkz was actually lackluster, and then try to rewrite history, telling that it was his key strength because he wasn't able to play Caitlyn. His Ezreal was decent, but really definitely not great. And G2 had to like literally play around massive amount of flex picks. I do believe that if G2 2019 was in Fearless, they would have had such a hard time playing around bot lane if the meta was bot lane centric. Because back then it was super easy to flex champions and just send them. Wunder was playing a lot of different champions for this reason. They would even go with supports, and then they would swap them to the top lane in a way that they could have the counter pick on support to make it work for Perkz. Because once they got out of lane, it was really easy to play the macro. But I feel like it is so irritating to me that like the single thing that I can complain about Perkz as an ADC is showcased as like a demonstration of strength somehow. Whereas like I believe like Rekkles was definitely a better ADC than him. And plot twist, if he was really the better ADC, why did they try to Rekkles then? You think like everybody else in the team, Caps, Mikyx, Wunder, Jankos, the coaching staff, G2, right, spending all that money and risking it all to get someone while they had already like Perkz as the best player, they got Rekkles because Perkz didn't want to play ADC because he didn't like it, because he couldn't perform as well, and he wanted to switch back to mid. So they took the second best, the best prospect at this position, which was Rekkles. And now we're gonna like try to pretend that like it never happened and just Perkz was the best choice and he wanted to play that role. I feel like it's very well crafted, but it's just purely false.
All I'm going to say is, what does Perkz Aphelios look like? I've seen those games. They weren't fucking good. Those were some double F doesn't want to play the champion Aphelios
in a
game.
Situation with double F, I remember.
Yeah, what they call it, like literally double F just didn't play during the off-season, showed up for Team Liquid and basically just went, I can't be arsed with this. Like, Perkz had plenty of time to play Aphelios. I think I had like an 80% win rate in LEC or something. I might be wrong. I can't remember the number off my head, but it was bonkers. It was literally like, that's where like the meme came from. Like Fnatic literally thought like if Rekkles was on Aphelios, they couldn't lose the game, and YG2 gave it to them every single game in spring final because the pick was just that crazy. Now maybe it wasn't that strong, but here's the thing: Perkz couldn't play it the entire year. Obviously he didn't play it mid, but then it came to summer and he couldn't play it whatsoever. And again, they had to resort to these utility function like ADCs. So in the first split, what does he play? He plays Xayah, he plays Ezreal, and he plays Kai'Sa, which are basically like two mages with really great mobility, and it's all about like skill shot placement and position and stuff like that, right? Okay. And then next year he plays Jhin and Ashe. Now, yeah, that's a little champion pool, but he also didn't really mix and match much. It wasn't like he was playing Kai'Sa in the Jhin and Ashe era either. So it's like he gave up like one skill set for like another, where he started playing like long range engage, and G2 had this very specific playstyle that, like, when you see it, like, Damwon just knew how to, like, dismantle it at Worlds. And the other thing is like, Perkz technically played the role, okay, for, like, a full year and then a year and a half, right, okay. Doesn't everyone forget what Spring looked like? It was literally Mikyx playing out his goddamn mind, right? And Perkz is just kind of getting, like, carried along, like, playing mages, being effective on like mages. So there's like half a split gone. MSI, he's like part of the win because of the draft component, but he's like losing to like was it Pongvu Buffalo? Was that the name of the team?
Pongvu
Buffalo. He went he went 0-7 or something as Xayah bot lane. He was getting fucking dicked on by their bot lane. It's like, bot lane's nothing. If that was like an all-time great ADC, you would never fucking hear the end of it losing to those guys. And it's like Summer, he really comes around. Summer and Worlds, he's like, money. That is such a short period of time. Like, fucking hell, Kobe might have spent as much time as that as one of the best ADCs in fucking Europe. And nobody's talking about Kobe as some sort of world beater. And because he did have like all the international success, and the way he developed the bot lane with the mages, yeah, you get all of that. But come on, Rekkles and fucking... Bro, people like FORG1VEN don't even get like credit for being like the cerebral players that they are, by the way. Here's a quick FORG1VEN anecdote, because a lot of people didn't play at the time. FORG1VEN changed the rune setup that all ADCs use in the world in Season 5. He changed the math on the AD lifesteal, and all the Koreans and all the Chinese players ended up copying him, because they like just changed like the numbers with the quints and the stuff like that. But he doesn't get any credit for that, because like it just wasn't like this like thing that like folk talked about. So the whole idea, like, nah, I just don't see it. That's fucking crazy to me. You must like Perkz.
By the way, here's the problem with this take. I also agree that it's sort of rewriting who Perkz was when he played specifically ADC, which is, first of all, the obvious angle is he said about how, and he came in and he played Xayah and Kai'Sa. Right, look, I'm not going to say those are like champions anyone can play, but literally those are two champions with self-peel mechanics inside the game. And if you don't know, in G2, famously, one of the problems when they got Rekkles is they weren't a team that peeled and played for the ADC. So when Rekkles joined, he thought it was going to be like, right, it's Uzi High time, right? You know, 4 people protect me. No, what he learned was Perkz had trained the others. Like, the reason Wunder can go ham in the team fight is you don't have to fucking play for me, mate. You aren't 369. You just do whatever you do. Have your fucking Camille if you want. You smack him. And basically what I'll do is Perkz was not even a good laner, for fuck's sake, except on those bizarre mages where the other guys never played the matchup before. And spoiler, there will be no Syndra pick. You notice he went like Ziggs, full stop. There wasn't any more champions came out of the shutter there. It's just Ziggs. That's it. And by the way, that's not even as cool now. Because back when Perkz could pick Syndra, no one else played Syndra bot lane. Bro, have you not watched the LCK? Viper will pick a fucking Syndra or Ziggs all day long, bro. And he'll smash you with it too. Like, in the modern day, some of these guys can play. Paze will play. Some of these guys can play the fucking mage. And there just isn't that angle of, like, you're going to get that. Also, you're right on the Aphelios one. Perkz is very lucky in 2 factors in 2020. One, he didn't play in spring, when, by the way, Caps was the one who bore all the cross for all the fucking harsh games. Then, at Worlds, Aphelios just wasn't that big in the meta. I looked it up because you said it there. In summer split of 2020, the Aphelios is the champion in the game that had the 4th most wins of any champion in the league. Perkz played it twice and lost both games and never played it again. Didn't play in the playoffs, didn't play it well. He just stopped playing it because at the time, remember, he was not only role swapping back, he even had to like overcome the death of his dad and the delayed start to the split. So what he did instead was he just went super hard. He got good on Ashe. He got decent on Senna. They went to Worlds, and people forget, bro, when they had that series against GenG, Even the GenG series was fucking Caps against the world, bro. That wasn't the super team. That was 2019 was the super team. And I agree, even the first split in the super team, I thought he was like slightly sus before he got the international. The problem is, he was never a lane player. His genius was actually not being a fucking ADC. He was like moving around the map in a way no ADC did, because ADCs don't do that. And then similarly, he was really clutch if you put him in big pressure games. But that's like the odd game, hence why he's the king of the game 4. By the way, why is he in game 4? Why is he not 3-0 on everyone? Because you know what? He was never like that. He was never. This is why I always thought the profile, even as a mid laner, was wrong. He made up the joke lane kingdom, but he never was the lane kingdom. He never fucking CS diff people or beat them on the opposite map. That wasn't who he was. He was a really clutch player who could give you a big game. But like that's why you're right. He could have gotten more trophies and accomplishments because yes, he was playing with Caps and he had a fucking super team. Spoiler, can Forgiven have that super team so we can actually see the what if, please? Because if I'm just using the eye test, Forgiven individually, there's a reason why a guy who never made an LEC final is actually considered by some the best ADC talent ever seen in the West. Because his peak was bonkers, and as Kira said, he did shit where the joke is. I can tell you 100% that all the Asian ADCs know his name, and not because he went to loads of worlds, not because he won loads of championships. They just knew this guy was cracked out. So no, he wouldn't be better. He maybe could have more trophies, but then again, you could say that about a lot of people who are in this position. You know, again, wouldn't my boy Upset love to play on that super team? I think he'd fucking love to have Prime Mikyx, Caps fucking godlike wonder, insane, Yankos perfect jungle. You know what I mean? Give me a break. The real problem here is, to make your point really hot and work, you'd have to tell me that even if he stayed ADC, he could go to any team and he'd be a stud and he'd carry and he'd be fucking sick, etc. And I notice you didn't do that. And then also, I'll just throw this in there at the end, which is, you did overlook one minor detail. Your world sounds like he just has to stay ADC. No. He has to want to stay ADC. Bro, he willingly played 2 splits at ADC, and that was in a year where he lost 1 game and almost golden roaded the motherfucking entire circuit, including he won MSI. That wasn't enough for him to go, I want to keep playing ADC. He didn't even play it in spring. He convinced Caps to role swap. However the fuck he did that, I imagine he just fired up the bubble bath again, fucking went, right, my most powerful potions now, Traveller, fucking popped all that shit in there, the aroma, deep healing fucking tissue massage, and somehow Caps was so relaxed. Yeah, maybe I could play with Mickey. Fuck, what is it? It's just like Raphelios anyway, isn't it? And then but even Caps after 1 split was like, listen, I'll be taking back the mid lane. And Perkz had to go, well, guess I did say you could have the spot when he joined the team. Back to the mines of the fucking bot lane. And he didn't like it. That's why he left and never again. Notice, here's the other thing people forget, guys. Bro, he was willing at the end of his career to swap to top lane. He never, ever even floated the idea of going bot lane. Bro, even Whippo dines out on the idea he could swap to jungle anytime he feels like it. Perkz never even threatened anyone with that again. He never tried it in any team he was in. He didn't even care if Kazi entered. He was never going to go, you know what, maybe I'll swap. No way. So, sadly, I know, here's the thing. I agree with Zabatine. This was framed quite well. It was a well put together like comment, and it sounded coherent, but then we just popped all the holes in it, didn't we? And suddenly, the balloon just fucking fizzled out. So no, he wouldn't, bro. Especially not, because listen, I'm not even a big Rekkles fan. But you know what? There were before this time with Perkz. Rekkles did have some years he was very good, though. He had some years where he did, like, master the safe conservative style, etc., etc. So, nah, he wouldn't have. You're fucking gassing him too much, and I love Perkz. Man, if I do a Perkz fucking defense, it's mainly going to be from mid lane, you idiot. Not from fucking ADC. And I do think that Aphelios one is key. Like, bro, what would he be like when these new champions come out? What would he do when Yunara comes out? What would he do? You know what I mean? What would he do on some of these picks? What would he have done when Seraphine bot lane was a thing? Your brain goes, but he's playing major stuff. That doesn't mean he can play everything. Like, some of those were weird fucking champs, weren't they? So, nah, I wouldn't. You've gone too far. And that's from someone who people think is on, like, Perkz' PR team, you know?